My ex showed up at my sister's wedding with her new rich boyfriend, but she didn't know I own his company. I never expected my sister's wedding to turn into the scene of such dramatic irony, but life has a way of delivering justice when you least expect it. Looking back now, I can't help but smile at how perfectly everything played out, though the journey to get there wasn't always easy. My ex, Sarah, and I dated for 5 years. We met in college during our sophomore year, both of us struggling students working part-time jobs to make ends meet. I was studying business while working at a local coffee shop, and she was pursuing her degree in marketing. Our first meeting was actually quite memorable. She ordered a complicated drink during the morning rush, and I completely messed it up. Instead of getting angry like most customers would, she laughed and said she'd teach me how to make it properly. We ended up talking during my break, and the rest, as they say, was history. Those early days were filled with genuine happiness. We fell in love over late-night study sessions and shared dreams of building a better future together. Sarah was brilliant, creative, and had this infectious energy that made everyone around her smile. We spent hours talking about our future, the company we build together, the house we buy, even the names of our future kids. Money was tight, but we made it work. We'd have date nights in our cramped dorm rooms, cooking ramen with upgraded ingredients to make it feel fancy, and watching movies on my laptop. Everything changed after graduation. While most of our friends took traditional corporate jobs, I had bigger dreams. I'd been developing a business plan throughout college, a tech platform that would revolutionize how small businesses handled their operations. It wasn't just about making money. I genuinely wanted to help small business owners who reminded me of my parents, who had struggled with their small bookstore throughout my childhood. I poured everything into starting my tech company. The first few years were brutal, endless work hours, living on ramen noodles, this time without the fancy additions, and barely making rent. Sarah stuck by me, or so I thought. She had landed a decent job at a marketing firm and often covered our dates and occasional luxuries. At first, she said she was happy to help since she believed in my dream, but gradually, resentment started creeping in. She would often complain about our modest lifestyle, comparing our situation to her friends, who were dating guys with established careers and comfortable salaries. "Look at Jessica and Tom," she'd say, scrolling through Instagram. "They just bought a house in the suburbs. When are we going to have that?" Or, "Emily's boyfriend just surprised her with a trip to Europe. We haven't even gone on a proper vacation in 2 years." I tried to explain that I was building something meaningful, something that would set us up for life, but she couldn't see past the present struggles. The startup was showing promising signs. We were gaining users, and early feedback was overwhelmingly positive. We even had a few small investors showing interest. But for Sarah, it wasn't happening fast enough. The arguments became more frequent. She started making snide comments about my hobby business and suggesting I look for a real job. Each comment stung, but I remained determined. I knew my idea had potential. I just needed more time. Then came what I thought would be our turning point. After countless pitches and meetings, I finally secured a major investment deal that would transform my small startup into something much bigger. The terms were better than I ever dreamed possible. Enough funding to hire a proper team, expand our infrastructure, and really scale the business. I was ecstatic, planning to surprise Sarah with the news over a special dinner. I even bought a ring, thinking this would be the perfect moment to propose. But she blindsided me first. That very morning, before I could share my news, she came to my apartment looking unusually serious. "We need to talk," she said. Those 4 words that never lead to anything good. She told me she couldn't wait forever for our lives to improve and that she deserved better. She talked about wanting security, stability, and a partner who could give her the lifestyle she wanted now, not someday in the future. "I'm tired of putting my life on hold for your dreams," she said. "I want someone who's already established, not someone who's still trying to make it." The ring box felt heavy in my pocket as she spoke, but I never showed it to her. She had made her choice, and nothing I could say would change her mind. The breakup hit me hard. harder than I wanted to admit. The investment deal that had seemed so exciting just hours before now felt hollow. But after a few days of wallowing, I made a decision. If Sarah couldn't believe in me or wait for success, I'd prove her wrong. I threw myself into my work with renewed determination. Over the next 3 years, my company grew beyond my wildest dreams. The initial investment helped us perfect our product, and word of mouth did the rest. Small businesses loved our platform, and soon bigger companies started taking notice. We expanded internationally, acquired smaller firms, and became a major player in the tech industry. Last year, Forbes included me in their 30 under 30 list, though I asked them to use an old photo where I was partially turned away from the camera. Despite the success, I kept a low profile, no flashy cars or designer suits. My parents raised me to stay humble, and that's exactly what I did. I still lived in a modest apartment, drove my old reliable Honda, and focused on growing the business rather than flaunting my wealth. Very few people knew I was the owner and CEO. I preferred to let my work speak for itself. The only real luxury I allowed myself was helping my parents retire comfortably and paying for my sister Emma's dream wedding. Speaking of Emma's wedding, that's where this story gets interesting. I was helping her with final preparations when she mentioned that Sarah would be attending with her new boyfriend. Apparently, they'd stayed friends on social media. Emma was apologetic about the whole thing, saying she'd understand if it made me uncomfortable. "It's your day, Em," I assured her. "I'm fine. It's been 3 years, and I'm long over it." Which was true. The pain of Sarah's betrayal had faded, replaced by gratitude for the motivation her departure had given me. The ceremony was beautiful. Emma was radiant in her wedding dress, and seeing her so happy made all the planning and expenses worth it. I'll admit I got a bit teary-eyed giving my speech as her brother. But the real show began at the reception. Sarah walked in fashionably late with a guy who practically screamed new money designer suit that looked like it was bought that day, flashy watch that he kept checking, and that unmistakable air of someone trying too hard to appear important. She made quite a show of parading him around, loudly discussing their recent vacation in the Maldives and their plans to buy a penthouse. When she spotted me, her eyes lit up with what I can only describe as predatory glee. She made a beeline over, practically dragging her boyfriend along. I could tell she was dying to show off her apparent upgrade. "Oh my God, James, it's been forever," she exclaimed with fake enthusiasm that wouldn't fool anyone. "You look exactly the same." She said it like it was an insult, eyeing my simple but well-tailored suit. "This is Michael, my boyfriend. He's a senior executive at Tech Vision Solutions." I couldn't help but smile, and I noticed my sister Emma watching from across the room, trying to contain her laughter. Tech Vision Solutions was one of the companies my firm had acquired 6 months ago. In fact, I had spent weeks reviewing their executive team during the acquisition process. "Nice to meet you, Michael," I said, extending my hand. "How's the transition going since the acquisition? I hope the integration teams aren't causing too much disruption to your department." Michael's face went from confident to confused in record time. His handshake weakened noticeably. "I'm sorry. How do you know about the acquisition?" "The internal announcement only went out last week." Before I could respond, Sarah jumped in, clearly annoyed that she wasn't the center of attention. "James probably read about it online. He always follows business news," she said dismissively, then added with a smirk, "though he never had much ambition himself. Still working at that little startup, James." I could see my sister Emma had moved closer, phone in hand. She knew exactly what was coming and apparently wanted to capture the moment. "Actually," I replied calmly, taking a sip of champagne, "I own the company that acquired TechVision. I'm the CEO of Hamilton Tech Group." The color drained from both their faces so quickly, I was worried they might faint. Michael started stammering, "Mr. Hamilton?" I had no idea. "We just received the memo about meeting the new CEO next week." "I didn't. I never." Sarah's reaction was priceless. Her mouth opened and closed several times, but no words came out. All those years of believing I'd amount to nothing, and now her new boyfriend literally worked for me. Emma later showed me the photo she snapped. It was frame-worthy. "Don't worry about the formalities, Michael," I said with a genuine smile. "Today I'm just the bride's brother. Enjoy the wedding. Oh, and that proposal you sent up last week for expanding your department, it's solid. We should discuss it during the quarterly review." "Don't worry about the formalities, Michael," I said with a genuine smile. "Today I'm just the bride's brother. Enjoy the wedding. Oh, and that proposal you sent up last week for expanding your department, it's solid. We should discuss it during the quarterly review." I walked away to join my family, leaving them in stunned silence. As I left, I heard Sarah hiss at Michael, "Why didn't you tell me your company was acquired?" Followed by his defensive whisper, "I signed an NDA. Besides, how was I supposed to know your ex would turn out to be?" The rest of the reception was a masterclass in awkward avoiding. Sarah, who had been so eager to parade around earlier, spent most of her time hiding in the corner, while Michael looked deeply uncomfortable every time we crossed paths. He kept straightening his tie nervously, especially when I was nearby. Emma later told me that Sarah left early, claiming she had a headache. "Funny," Emma had said, "how that headache came on right after she found out about your success." The following Monday, Michael requested a transfer to our West Coast office. His email was almost comically formal, with multiple apologies for any potential awkwardness. I approved it immediately. I'm not the type to let personal matters affect business decisions. Besides, I had already gotten the best revenge possible, living well and succeeding on my own terms. That night, I received a long text from Sarah. She wrote about how proud she was of my success, how she had always believed in me, a bizarre revision of history, and how she had been thinking about what could have been. I didn't reply. Some doors are better left closed. My sister's wedding turned out to be perfect in more ways than one. Not only did I get to see my little sister marry the love of her life, but I also got to experience that rare moment when karma aligns everything just right. The girl who couldn't wait for me to succeed got to witness that success in the most unexpected way. The irony wasn't lost on anyone who knew our history, but I took no pleasure in Sarah's discomfort. Instead, I felt grateful. Her leaving me had pushed me to focus entirely on my goals. Sometimes the people who walk out of your life do you the biggest favor. They make room for something better. In my case, that something better turned out to be both professional success and personal happiness. 6 months ago, I met someone who reminds me what genuine support feels like. She's a small business owner who actually used my company's software before we met. Unlike Sarah, she understands the value of building something meaningful, even if it takes time. Yes, Michael still works for the company. He's actually doing great work at our West Coast office. I meant what I said about not letting personal matters affect business decisions. No, I haven't heard from Sarah since that text message, though mutual friends tell me she's suddenly very interested in my journey to success and has been asking lots of questions about my company. Several people asked about my current girlfriend. Yes, things are going great. She runs a successful bakery chain and actually expanded her business using our platform before we met. The irony of finding someone through the very business Sarah doubted isn't lost on me. To those asking about Emma's reaction, she says watching Sarah's face during the revelation was the second best moment of her wedding day. She's always been my biggest supporter and never liked how Sarah treated me. Michael's transfer went through smoothly, and he's doing excellent work in our West Coast division. He actually apologized to me again during our quarterly review, but I assured him there were no hard feelings. Sarah, on the other hand, has apparently been telling mutual friends that she was instrumental in my success because her leaving motivated me. I guess some people never change. Success is the best revenge, but the real win isn't proving someone wrong, it's proving yourself right. Focus on your goals, believe in your vision, and don't let anyone tell you to settle for less than what you're working towards. Thank you all for the supportive comments and messages. They mean more than you know.